You think that's a route the Texans should go, entertaining bringing back Jadeveon Clowney?
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would not be opposed to it. I mean, you got to go way back before you get a guy with double-digit sacks, and Jadeveon Clowney had 9 in 2021. So there's still some production there. I'm on record. I don't think he's a great pass rusher in terms of the sacks, the number that gets these guys paid. But
yeah, that's not his strength.
But this team is void of guys that can get to the quarterback in a major way, and so there's definitely room for him on this particular roster, even as it pertains to rushing the passer. But I think what really gets me to a spot with Jadeveon Clowney is people can say, and I've been one of them who's been critical, people can say what they want about Jadeveon Clowney and the inability to rush the passer. But there is zero doubt about it. When played the right way, when used the right way, this is as disruptive a dude as we've seen. Maybe not last year. I don't know exactly what all went on last year, but this dude has the ability to be unbelievably disruptive versus the run. And again, as we mentioned, this team was 50 yards. They allowed 50 more yards than the average team in the NFL last year. I find it really hard for me to get to a place where I'd say no thanks on Jadeveon Clowney. I'm out. I'm not saying you go overspend on this guy, but if he's available, which he is for a reason, clearly the market's not there of what he thought would be there, and if the money's right, I'd be cool with him being in you. I would like to see what DeMeco Ryans can get out of. If Jacob Martin's a guy that you sign on this football team, and as I said before, I like Jacob Martin, then Jadeveon Clowney's got to be a guy that you at least piques your interest.
Yeah, I mean, I like the part that you said this team struggled with stopping the run. That is clearly his strength, is stopping the run. Like, if you're thinking you're coming in and getting a difference maker in terms of rushing the passer, I'm not certain that's what you're getting from him. To me, I think my other question is just his impact in the locker room, right? It didn't end great in Cleveland. There were some things, like I know Bill O'Brien has caught a lot of heat, but there were some things there that people had about him off the and you got a pretty important guy in that same room that he is in, that is a young guy that I think has a chance to be a really big leader, but can potentially be influenced. And that's one thing, if I'm DeMeco, that I'm looking at too big time is, all right, how confident does DeMeco and them feel about him working every day next to Will Anderson Jr., who is really supposed to be the prize. That would be one thing that I would look at is how comfortable do we feel about him potentially having an impact every day with Will Anderson.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've heard from Jadeveon Clowney is more of doesn't necessarily give his all, doesn't necessarily want to be in training camp. He's not the first to show up and the last to leave. And,
I don't know. I like that around Will. Although I don't think that's Will, but I don't.
Well, my point is that guy's going to have, like, Jadeveon Clowney's not the Jadeveon Clowney that knocked the helmet off the dude in Michigan where like, he's going to influence people. Like, I mean, he may, to your point, he may very well. I don't worry about Jadeveon Clowney being a guy that's influencing anybody on this football team. Like, I don't think Jadeveon Clowney wants to. I don't. What I've seen, which is not very much, but what I've seen is like he's more of a guy that just wants to show up and play football. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. There's not a whole hell of a lot of bringing extra, impacting others, leading. Leadership. There's not a whole hell of a lot of that going on in terms of kind of how he operates outside of Sundays. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I do wonder, like, the Nick Caserio aspect of, wanting the guy that shows up early and leaves late, and boy, it's just football 24/7, 365. But then you look and he just re-upped. He re-upped the one dude that's like, I just want to show up on Sundays and ball, and Laramie Tunsil.
Made him the highest.
And so I don't know. I would like to see what DeMeco Ryans could do with Jadeveon Clowney. I'll be honest with you. Again, I've been critical of Jadeveon Clowney. I believe Jadeveon Clowney would definitely be an upgrade to the defensive end room, even if you play him in a 3-4 and put his hand in the dirt.
Yeah. Him, Jerry Hughes, Will Anderson Jr., Jonathan Grenard in there right now.
He could
add to that.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Jacob Martin, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. No, I mean, absolutely. I believe he would. And I'm talking about it, hand in the dirt, 4-3 defensive end. You're not going to plan to move him around like he did earlier in his career. I still think there's a spot for him to be one of the better players on this football team.